Japan has raised interest rates. In the past, every time Japan raised interest rates like this, Bitcoin lost more than 20% of its value. And we might be entering the riskiest period in crypto until January 15th. I will explain the reason with two separate charts. Especially in the last 2 to 3 years, whenever the Japanese raised interest rates, Bitcoin dropped and altcoins turned into a bloodbath. What's more, there's the MSCI decision on January 15th. They might remove MicroStrategy, Saylor's company, from the index, or it might stay. But still, don't be too pessimistic. There are also some positive developments, and 2026 might turn out differently than you expect. So what awaits us? Let's get into our video. Friends, welcome back to my video. We've been hinting at this for a long time. The Bank of Japan, the Japanese central bank, is going to raise interest rates. And this is a tense process, especially for risky investors and crypto enthusiasts. And indeed, this morning they raised rates by 25 plus basis points, increasing them from 0.5% to 0.75%. So, has this been priced in? The community is divided on this issue. Some say, come on, it's already been priced in, sir. Others say this. It was the same in previous cases. It was obvious that rates would go up. After the rate hike, the market pulled back sharply. Now, let's take a look at the charts together. When we look at the last 2 years, friends, on the screen, right now, you can see Japan's interest rate hike decisions. And this chart is weekly. So, in the weeks right after the rate hike, there was a decline. Double drops for Bitcoin. In March 2024, friends, Bitcoin experienced a 23% drop. In July 2024, after Japan made its interest rate decision and raised rates, Bitcoin alone lost 26% in value. I'm not even mentioning the altcoins. And January 2025, Bitcoin. At that time, friends, after the interest rate decision, it dropped by exactly 31%, and it was truly a bad period. Now they've lowered the rates again this week. Let's see how the market will open next week. With this rate hike, the Japanese have also reached the highest interest rates in the last 30 years. And I'm talking about what is, relatively speaking, the farthest corner of the world. People in the most remote corner of the world are raising interest rates. And the altcoins you've been dreaming about are losing value. Seriously. So why? Is everything hitting crypto investors again? Now friends, we're going to look at the reasons for this, but now the world is more global than ever before. Every decision made anywhere affects each other. The world has gotten smaller. It's gotten so small that when we look at Elon Musk, some of us say we need to move to Mars now. He says we should both reduce risk and also find a new planet. If we come back to Earth for a moment, of course, the interest rate decision by the Japanese is very important for the whole world. Because Japan is the source of cheap money for the entire world, friends. Our first reason is that for many years, investors have had access to low-cost funds. With very low or even zero interest rates, they borrowed from Japan and engaged in carry trade, investing in other countries' stock markets and even in cryptocurrencies. This situation pushes the market up. Of course, if we look at the second point, Japan has been the source of liquidity for the world economy, that is the global economy, for years. Cheap money was injected into the market from there and spread to different markets. These interest rate decisions are creating negative developments for the global market because now it can no longer inject that liquidity into the world cheaply, investors. And let's look at our third topic. And of course, through a chain reaction, people have borrowed from Japan, opened futures positions, or taken different positions. Now, for those in this position who are expecting a decline, they are being margin called to pay their debts, and they are closing their positions. And this creates a negative situation in the market. Friends, in other words, the market is selling off. In summary, Japan's interest rate hikes are disrupting yen carry trading, tightening global liquidity, and reducing leveraged positions. All of this affects risky assets and especially cryptocurrencies the most. Friends, now why have interest rates always been low in Japan? I'll explain this. But before that, let me remind you of something. Crypto, friends, is a long and deep journey. If you want to join us on this long journey, you can subscribe to my channel. Also, by liking the video you're watching right now, you can truly support us a lot. Thank you in advance. So why have the Japanese always kept interest rates low? Their monetary policies? Friends, there is chronic deflation in Japan. There is a fear of it. Now, what is deflation? It's the lowering of prices. So for example, let's say you're going to buy a computer. You know that if you buy it 6 months later, it will be cheaper because it's the exact opposite of inflation. There's deflation and the prices of products keep decreasing. So what happens then? You think, I won't buy it now, I'll get it next year. Or you postpone it. Your consumption habits. And companies lose out on profits and sustainability starts to deteriorate. In Japan, prices have been falling for 30 years. Guys, also another point is that Japan has one of the highest elderly populations in the world. Elderly people don't take risks, they reduce their consumption, and as a result, they slow down economic growth. Another issue is that Japan is one of the countries with the highest public debt in the world. So when they raise interest rates, the interest burden on public debt will also increase significantly. That's why they can't raise them. And one of the last reasons is, let's keep the yen cheap and stay competitive. In other words, the idea is to keep the yen at a low exchange rate so we can maintain our competitive structure and sell our cars all over the world. With this logic, they have always kept their own currency at a low rate. But now, even they have started to show signs of inflation. Friends, so what was our other risk? There is a possibility that Saylor's company, MicroStrategy, could be removed from the MSCI index. As you know, on October 10th, there was a hellish event, or in other words, an earthquake. With this earthquake, friends, the main reason for it was that MSCI saw Saylor's company as either a company or a fund that constantly buys Bitcoin. So funds shouldn't buy this fund, because there was a logic that a fund can't buy another fund. So should we just remove them from the index? A decision-making process began. When will it be finalized? It will be finalized on January 15th. This still remains one of our major risks, friends, and continues to be a burden on our shoulders. It keeps coming back to us. So what can we do now? We'll talk about these things during this process. But before that, I want to remind you of something. If you're not a member of Binance, you can sign up as a new member using the link in the description or the QR code you see on the screen. And you can take advantage of the new membership bonus of up to $600. Additionally, you'll get a 20% commission discount on all your transactions. If you're going to open an account anyway, it makes sense to do it this way. Now, we've talked about two major, truly major problems. So, does knowing about these major problems benefit us? Actually, it does, because this way we can figure out what kind of roadmap we need to follow in the upcoming period. As I said, everyone is probably saying that this interest rate hike is already priced in. But in the past, when we look at previous periods, it was already priced in. Despite the interest rate decision, especially in the following 4 to 5 weeks, the period from 1 week after to 5 weeks after, the market behaved differently. Bitcoin experienced a drop of more than 20% with an average decline of 26%. So we have at least a 4 to 5 week risky period ahead, and we also know this. On January 15th, they will make a very critical decision. They will say, you're out. We've already priced in the part where you're out. If they say you're out, we'll drop a bit more. After that, we'll recover and move on. Or they'll say, no, this is a solid company producing quality software. They'll say, let it stay in the index. In that case, we might experience a mini rally. But right now, none of this is rational. I mean, people are thinking the exact opposite of this idea. They act as if everything is going to fall for everyone. Or they might say, then let's push it up. So it's not rational. So in the next 4 to 5 weeks, we'll reduce our risk. I'm not selling the altcoins I have, but I'm also not buying new altcoins. From time to time, in Bitcoin and Ethereum, I add to my positions in my thoughts, but I don't go any further than that, guys. But of course, nothing I mentioned in this video is investment advice. In 2025, everyone was expecting this. We were expecting some serious increases. But the exact opposite happened, didn't it? When there was something we were all expecting, they really hit us hard from there. Let's admit it. But in 2026, there are actually some positive developments. And I'll talk about these in the next video. So, 2026 is a bit more of a hopeful year for us. We'll talk about these together. In the next video, if we look at the outcome, yes, I've seen and experienced a lot of bear markets in crypto. I've been following since 2013, and especially since 2017. I've been an active investor since 2017. I've been through many winters, many bear markets. I can say this very clearly. None of them were as harsh and severe as this one. And every time we fell into the same mindset. Maybe right now you feel the same way. Yes, I think altcoins are done and they'll never rise again. We fall into this mindset, my friends. This never changes. So altcoins are finished. I guess this game is over here. We have the same thoughts this time too? Again, it's close. I think the same way too, from time to time. But I've always seen this. Somehow it catches fire again from somewhere, it ends, and the seed is rekindled. So yes, we're going to stick to the majors a bit more. Yes, there are a few more institutional players. Bitcoin, Solana, BNB, and Ethereum are now more valuable to us. We won't go on too many adventures. We won't be chasing after hunting in the forests. But I don't think crypto is over, my friends. I continue to carry hope for the future. We'll talk about these things in the next video. See you in the next video. Goodbye.